Guests in the Seat of Honor on the Believe Me Movement podcast will share with us their personal experiences of either seeing a UFO, being abducted, or any paranormal experience that they are trying to make sense of. As you listen, you are about to have a mind-expanding experience. Are you ready for that? We're not telling you what to think, but we do ask you to be open-minded. Now, you must be pondering, what is the Believe Me Movement podcast? We offer a relaxed and safe space for those of you courageous enough to share your profound and sometimes befuddling experiences as a live guest on our podcast. When you are ready to be a guest on our show and share your personal story, email me at spiritlady.robin@gmail.com. That's spiritlady.robin@gmail.com. We will gratefully put your name on the wait list and get back to you as soon as possible. Now, this show is co-hosted by best-selling author Ken Sylvester of the book We're Not Alone and Here's the Proof, and me, Spirit Lady Robin Alexis, best-selling author of the book A Conversation with Extraterrestrials. We are the hosts of the Believe Me Movement podcast and soon-to-be membership. The Believe Me Movement podcast is brought to you by RobinAlexis.com. That's RobinAlexis.com. Now, Ken, are you ready to bring on our guest to sit in the seat of honor on the Believe Me Movement podcast?
Yes, Robin, and I'm looking forward to hearing from our guest, Martha, has to say today. Martha, we're ready to listen to your story. Please tell us what happened.
Okay, well, I actually, and I think this is going to make a good conversation, and where I want to kind of get more clarity, and your take on this is being in Sedona. You know, there's lots of activity here. It's a mecca, you know, for sightings, and I've had several sightings. I think just about everybody here has, but in particular, I had two that felt very, very personal. One was left me feeling really good, and the other one left me feeling very unsettled. And that's what I kind of want to kind of talk about and get more understanding from you all on, is when it's malevolent and when it's benevolent, and kind of how to tell the difference and how to break free of it. I'll start with my first real personal feeling encounter that was really felt positive. I was in the South Puget Sound, and it's pretty far away from any city lights, and so the stars are just amazing there. And I had young kids, and I'd put everyone to bed, and I went out to, you know, close the cover of the hot tub, and just the moon and the stars were beckoning me so much. I just kind of threw off my nightgown and jumped into the hot tub instead of closing it up, to have just some quiet, just soaking under the starlight. And as I'm looking up at the stars, and the moon, I almost felt my body illuminating in the glow. Mm-hmm. And then I just closed my eyes, and when I opened them up again, the sky was completely black. No stars, no moon, no nothing. Just one bright star. You know, that's what I interpreted it as. And I'm like going, are you my star? Because I had just been starting to kind of grapple with the idea of kind of our cosmic history, and that we're all stars and whatnot. But that was the first time that thought just popped in my mind. It's like, gosh, are you my star? And then I just felt this real overwhelming, you know, sense of kind of knowing and tingles and all that sort of stuff, and closed my eyes again. And when I opened them up again, the moon was out and all the stars were out again. And
hold on a second,
yeah.
Martha. So for people listening, you're speaking about the state of Washington around the first experience. Okay.
Yeah, around Shelton, deep in the South Sound, in Washington State, yeah. But the whole experience just left me feeling really, really good and really, really positive. And I remembered, in relationship, because I had noticed how this really bright star really close to the moon before everything went dark, and that was the only star still there. And so when the stars filled the sky again and when the moon was out, I could still see that star was still there. And I paid attention to where that star was, thinking it was a star at the time, and I saw its relationship to the Big Dipper, and I go, okay, this is where I'm always going to be able to know how to find my stars. And it wasn't until years later that I finally, pulled up a star map or whatever and found out it was Arcturus.
Oh, God bumps.
Yeah, exactly. And that was after I was already feeling a connection with Arcturus every time I'd hear about it. So that was my benevolent experience. So what do you think happened there?
Well, several things are coming forth. First of all, I do see some Arcturian beings around you right now. They seem to know that you're coming out and speaking about this, and the Arcturians are saying that their activity is going to become stronger, making contact with more individuals, and that this particular group of Arcturian beings are high level, meaning they're a fifth dimensional or higher. In this case, they're fifth dimensional. And what does that mean when it's fifth dimensional? It's where like telepathy occurs, meaning any communication can cause no harm to us or anyone else. Now, in particular, these particular Arcturus beings are bringing people in awakening to reconnect with their original birth star. And when I say that to you, Martha, how do you feel?
I feel like it's definitely, I've spent time on Arcturus, but I think I have more than one birth star, but that one seems significant to me at this stage.
Yes, you have definitely planet hopped and galaxy hopped and universe hopped. That's true. But this feels like your most recent interplanetary interaction. And from I think what they did is they brought you either up to the star or on the ship or did something of that nature, where they wanted you to begin to recognize that what you had experienced prior to Arcturus has assimilated through your Arcturian connection. So instead of like, going out and taking a bunch of libraries out of the galaxy and going and finding different books in different libraries of the galaxies, you can simply go to your galactic experience of the Arcturian, and they will guide you to places within yourself where you already hold that vibration. One of the things they're showing me is that your DNA is slightly different than others. The first DNA strand is an assimilation already of the divine feminine and divine masculine into divine sacred union. And so your first DNA strand represents sacred union with your own essence, your own wisdom, your own sovereignty as a star being in human form. And they're talking to me so fast I'm starting to lose actually the translation of what they're saying, but I'm sure they're speaking to you in light language. I think what might be useful is you can respond to what I just said, but then let's kind of flip the conversation over a little bit to Ken's book and your Airbnb, just so that it will give my mind a chance to see if I can continue to download what they're saying and give you the information.
Sure.
So how are you feeling?
Yeah. Well, it's that sovereignty piece, and that kind of, when I stopped talking about kind of the book, and I think that's why this conversation is so important, that claiming the sovereignty and focusing on the sovereignty, and obviously that's where I got that knowledge and that knowing and that kind of that intense commitment to sovereignty, which is really helping and could help other people with any type of negative encounter that's been lingering on them, because I've experienced both. So that's where it really resonated with me. But Ken, what I loved about your book and why I got a bunch of them from our Airbnb is so many people that come to Sedona, they're like, yeah, we're going on a UFO tour and we want to do this. And they're just like, yeah, we want to see a ship or whatnot. And they are so wide open that, I don't know exactly what they may or may not bring in, but having a better understanding of the nature of the different, the abductions, not just sightings, and the awareness that does happen. I love the way that your book just really kind of pieced together in a pretty quick read, just kind of the highlights and a thread of all these situations and the way you organized it. For people that haven't been studying ufology for years, I think it's a great kind of what do you call those things? Remember the footnotes, or when we used to the footnotes, the little books. So you
or
can,
Cliff Notes. Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes. Thank you. I'm dating myself with those Cliff Notes.
Intergalactic Cliff Notes. That's great.
Exactly. So it was wonderful, and as I say, the way you organized it and everything too. And so I wanted, I put it in both of the rooms, my Airbnb, and I have a stack in the kind of the shared area, because I think just for people that are wanting to, are kind of believers, and they're just out there seeking and wanting to have a connection or wanting to see a UFO or whatnot, it's a good reference for them. It's a good for them to kind of be aware of, maybe before they open themselves up. And have more discernment when they're seeking that connection.
Martha, did you find any one particular story that seemed to resonate a little more personally with you than the others?
The one that made me feel kind of more uncomfortable is the feeling I don't have kind of full memories. But the feeling of being experimented on or messed with a little bit. And that's, I think once that's happened, there is something that kind of lingers or continues to affect us that is important to, or at least for me, I'm working on breaking free of that. I don't have to know the exact parameters or exactly what happened, just understanding that if I had been experimented on or used or had any agreement in, under duress or, that what I didn't agree upon, the fact that if something did happen, I'd like to disentangle from it.
I'll help you with that in a moment. The book that we're referring to right now, if you're just starting to listen to the podcast, is the best-selling Amazon book by Ken Sylvester called We're Not Alone, and Here's the Proof. And our special guest today in the seat of honor on the Believe Me Movement podcast is Martha Childress from Sedona, Arizona. She does own an Airbnb there. There's a lot of UFO activity in Sedona, and so we were delighted when she wanted to come on our show. So, Ken, is there anything else you want to say before I go back into talking with Martha about her experiences?
Yeah, just one question I had. Were you able to tell how much time was lost when you were in the hot tub during that one sighting? Did it appear like the stars had changed position, or could you tell how much time had passed?
It felt like no time had passed, but it was such a sense of euphoria. It was like time stood still.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, it was cool. It was really, really cool.
Yes, those moments are cool. And that is how, when you have an experience with benevolent extraterrestrials, it does feel like that, especially if it's in the fifth dimension and higher. It's very what one would describe as heavenly-like. And I say that because I've had 3 near-death experiences. And what I'm witnessing with you, Martha, is the 3 Arcturians that I saw, stand forward as you were speaking. They appear to be aspects of you. So that would mean that you are, if you will, a they, right? If this resonates to you, I'm seeing like 3 new strands of DNA coming down from above. One's coming down through the center of your head, and then the others are coming down the sides of your head, kind of going right behind your ears. And each strand represents sort of a celestial DNA matrix from these three extraterrestrials who are Arcturus, who evidently are all aspects of you. And that assimilation process is beginning to take place as we speak. What do you feel in your body as I say that to you?
Yeah, I'm feeling a little lighter, and it's also making sense with some of the work I'm doing now too, because I think for those of us who have planet hopped, we have parts of our DNA and parts of us are in other places, and some maybe not in such great places. So it's like bringing more of the good stuff, so to speak, in and coming out of agreement and severing and dismantling any corrupted DNA is kind of my aim.
Yes, that's definitely, I'm seeing a lot of energy pouring into you from your galactic selves. This is what I would call soul retrievals of your own soul essence that we're still having experiences in this other realm, but now they're embodying you. So they're bringing themselves out of being there and bringing them through and into you. And I'm sure it has something to do with the practice that you're doing in the location that you're in. Before you do describe the unsettling ET experience, would you tell us why, what prompted you to move to Sedona from Washington and open an Airbnb?
I'm kind of, I'm sensitive in a kind of different way than some other people. And I love going to Sedona. I love going to Shasta, but I'm like, but I could never live here. I might explode. It might be too much for me. And I was doing a lot of work raising money for the Hopi Reservation. And so I feel like I've always had some deep ties there. And with Native American and with kind of the ancients. But I was here with my husband, and it was the first time he'd been to Sedona, and we went up to the reservation and we did the work we were supposed to do, but we kind of had a 5-day vacation in Sedona at the same time. And just for the first time, we're seeing parts of it, and we're realizing it's like, wow, we knew we wanted to move away from the Seattle area anyway. Which is where we were after our oldest graduated from college and that sort of thing. But we thought we were 2 years away. And that after kind of coming here, it's like, whoa. And my husband said, well, I think Sedona would come to the top of our list. And for my husband, who kind of lets me do my thing but doesn't kind of share all the same beliefs and whatnot, for him to suggest, let's move to Sedona, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's a big sign for you.
That's a really big sign for me. It's like you don't say no, and then that way everything ended up falling into place and seeing this house. And we basically, instead of 2 years, we came back that Christmas, found a house, came home, sold our house. We were there in 3 months. And ever since I've been there, it feels like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now.
Yeah, I can feel your connection with the land. And I'm also being reminded that the Arcturians have always worked with water. And so, and of course, the Native Americans, are so much more aware of our ancestral lineage as star beings. So as you're speaking and as I'm watching your energy, there's like so much more deliciousness coming through and embodying through you, and I can see you getting more and more grounded so that you'll be able to be an anchor of light. One of the frequencies coming in is the Piscean financial body coming into your field, and that would suggest that one of the, let's say, soul purposes for you in this lifetime is to be have a lot of money and use it for very spiritual causes, which it sounds like you're already doing. But as you awaken and as you embody more of your divinity and more of these kind of Galatian aspects of yourself, and you ground that, there's going to be more and more financial opportunity coming through and more opportunity for you to discern, where does Mother Earth need support and how can I do so? Now, right in the center of your chest, right in the high heart area, I am seeing a block. So let's go ahead now and talk about what is the experience that you had that left you unsettled?
Yeah, you can probably even just having me kind of think about it, because it's so unthinkable, that I was I was used kind of as an incubator.
Okay. And how old were you when you became aware that you suspected you were being used for hybrid purposes?
I think it wasn't until maybe like the last 10 years I've kind of gotten some weird things and feelings in my stomach. One dream I felt like I was actually giving birth. I actually gave birth. So weird things like that later, but I think the first time was when I was living in Bellevue. I was probably in my 30s. It was right before I had my first child.
That's where I was going. Mm-hmm.
There was an empty field right next to our house, and it was so, I don't remember anything, but when I woke up, it was like I felt like there was a spaceship that landed there and did something with me, but couldn't tell you anything other than that. And how that even came into my head, I don't know. But in later years, I've had these weird snippets that feel like they've been tied into my my reproductive system.
Absolutely. Now, do you feel that, because I'm seeing all kinds of things, and I'm going to walk you through a really strong healing. And if at any time you don't feel safe, please say so. We'll back up and stop, because you're in control of this. Before I start that, Ken, is there anything you want to say?
No, I'm going to let your expert reading continue on.
Okay. So
see what you started, Ken?
Pardon me?
See what you started with your book? I mean, this is great.
Yes, I was hoping to open this door.
And he definitely did. So, Martha, I definitely see that there's been, you have been used for hybrid activity, and I actually think it's affected your relationship with the children that you have. And what I'd like to do with you is go back to your preconception karmic boardroom and see if you made an agreement with these beings to do this, and if so, what was it, and do you want to renegotiate it? Or
no, we want to. Yeah, it's null and void. It's illegal.
Okay, but let's go back and find out if you know that now. Maybe you didn't know that at preconception.
I didn't know that then, so I want to go back and retract.
Okay, all right. So have your higher self go with the overlighting diva of your preconception karmic boardroom. And there you go. Your higher self is in the karmic boardroom. Can you see yourself there?
I can definitely sense. Yeah.
Okay. Then I would like for Archangel Michael to bring in the head ET that's involved with this experience that you've been having. And I see that being coming in and being seated across the table from you. Do you have a sense of that interaction, that there's a being in the room?
I'm feeling a lot of pressure on the top of my head. So it's like, yeah, the minute you start talking about that, it's like, we're done.
Okay. So look on the table. Do you see any contract at all?
Yeah.
That you knowingly or unknowingly signed on to?
Yeah.
Okay. And you've already decided you want to null and void out any and all contracts with that group of beings. Is that correct?
Yes, and there's a lot. It's like a whole book of signatures. There's a lot.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is you never had an agreement with them knowingly, but now you do know, and you're nulling and voiding them all out. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So Ken and I are going to hold space with your guides and guardian angels, your masters and ascended masters, all overlighting divas, as you null and void out and sign all of those agreements. And I want to look at that ET while you're doing that and just find out if that being just tricked you, or if you'd just been doing it for so long and so many lifetimes and didn't realize it, which is what I'm getting. So I'm going to travel back and find out when it first started. This is very ancient, goes off planet, where you've had other incarnations as other life forms where you were used for hybrid against your will, and it did initially start against your will. So now we ask that as you're nulling and voiding all those contracts out, to take your sovereignty back so that you may reproduce in your sovereignty according to you in your own choice. We ask that Archangel Michael, the Universal Police, the Galactic Federation, the Intergalactic Council, and the Karmic Board hold this being and all of those beings who participated in this against your will accountable for breaking universal law. Now, I may start speaking a light language, and I know you may start speaking back, but keep nulling and voiding. There you go. Keep going.
Yep. Ripping them up. Ripping them up.
Yep. And as you sign off on all of these contracts and all of these beings are held accountable, past, present, parallel, future, throughout all time, space, and beyond, 7 generations back and 7 generations forward, both in the human Akashic records and all records everywhere, and even in the in-between world. Null and void, there we go. And now they're starting to burn in the holy fire. I can feel your light body coming online, stronger and stronger as you take back your power as a sovereign being. There you go, beautiful. And we're going to go right into your second chakra, where the uterus, the genitalia. But the second chakra is not only for sexuality, it's for healing and creativity as well. So we want to cleanse, purify, heal, and bless anytime you were used in a hybrid program, both on and off this planet, in human form or other. And there you go. I think we're getting towards the end of it. How are you feeling, Martha?
This has been fabulous. Thank you so much.
Do you feel completely cleansed of this?
I'm feeling like it's still happening. It's still cleansing. It's just going to be doing it for a while. It's deep. It's very, very deep.
It is deep, but we live in a quantum universe, so we're going to capture the depth. We're going to continue to recapitulate and reset a new program for you within yourself. Now, while that's happening and you're having your experience, Ken, again, is there anything that you want to contribute?
I just hope that my book has brought Martha here today, and hope that we can leave her with some peace of mind.
And Martha, I'm getting... go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm seeing, Martha, that you're being a surrogate healer, which means that as Martha is healing other people who are listening to this podcast, if this has also happened to you against your will, whether you're male, female, or however you describe yourself, you have the opportunity to receive this blueprint and access your own healing and take back your own sovereignty. There we go. The energy is really
that's God chill. Yeah, big time.
Yeah. And after I said that, I see you standing up and you're bowing to that ET, and you're just witnessing that ET
was manipulated probably as well.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so now your higher self and your overlighting diva of your preconception karma program, they're saying that you just fulfilled a soul contract, and by ending these, by being a surrogate healer, by having the Nocturne frequency return to you. Okay, now you're starting to come back into your body from the experience. And the ET's being brought out, and the whole field is collapsing now where we were. I feel you're back in your body, safe and sound.
Yeah. That was cool.
Oh, I'm so happy for you, Martha.
Oh, that was really, really cool. This was no mistake. Yeah.
All right.
I think, and both you two, between the two, being able to bring, people forward and to understand and to know that we were not conscious of some of these agreements that have created so many of these abductions, that this could be a huge, huge game changer.
I agree. And thank you for seeing, what we are doing. Ken, is there anything you want to add before we start to close the show?
Yes, Robin. I also have got a feeling myself from just the two of you talking that you've brought some clarity to Martha and some relief. And this is what we're hoping to do in drawing people in. And the book is meant for people to open their minds and take a chance and give us a call and see if we can, between Robin and I, get you on a clear path and help you get back to a normal life.
Yeah.
And Martha, before you go, what is your Airbnb and how can people find it if they want to come stay with you?
If they put in Sedona and then the Airbnb, and let me pull it up, the description. I think it's the pull it up to remind, because you have to have the exact right words.
Yes.
Okay, it's the, come on.
Well, while you're finding that, I just want to thank you for being bold enough to come on the show and go so deep and share such a private experience that's so healing for yourself and others. And everyone listening to the podcast, we thank you. And of course, you're invited to like and subscribe to the Believe Me Movement YouTube channel. That way you'll be notified every time something new is posted, and you certainly won't want to miss anything. So go ahead and like and subscribe to the Believe Me Movement YouTube channel and stay informed. And this show is brought to you by RobinAlexis.com. That's RobinAlexis.com. And again, Martha, do you have how people can find your Airbnb in Sedona?
One of it, I've got 2 rooms on the property. One's a separate, and one's attached to the house. But Sedona Private Serenity Garden Room, the Private Serenity Garden Room, and it's on a courtyard, and we're up against National Forest, and you see a big, beautiful mesa, which. You don't need to go do a UFO tour. Just go sit out in our backyard.
Well, that sounds lovely. And, of course, you'll get a copy of Ken's book.
And then the other one is Rustic. The other one is Rustic Retreat Private Casita with Red Rock Views.
Wow. And this has been Martha Childress, a guest on The Seat of Honor on the Believe Me Movement podcast. Over and out.
Over and out.
Over and out.